following locations in Texas, B and Goliad. A storm surge warning remains in effect and a hurricane warning remains in effect for the following locations in Texas: Aransas Islands, Aransas, Calhoun Islands, Calhoun, Coastal Calhoun, Coastal New Aces, Coastal Ruffiero, Coastal San Patricio and New Aces Islands. A storm surge warning remains in effect and a tropical storm warning remains in effect for the following locations in Texas, New Aces and San Patricio. Hurricane warning remains in effect. What? Southeast winds 40 to 50 knots with gusts up to 70 knots and seas 17 to 22 feet. Where? Portions of Gulf of Mexico from Baffin Bay to Matagorda ship channel out 60 nautical miles, including all the bays and waterways. When? Tropical storm force winds possible until Monday morning. Impacts. Extremely strong winds will cause hazardous seas which will likely capsize or damage vessels and severely reduce visibility. Mariners should remain in port, alter course, and slash or secure the vessel for extreme conditions. A storm surge watch has been canceled and a hurricane warning remains in effect for the following in Texas, coastal Clayburgh. A storm surge watch remains in effect and a hurricane warning remains in effect for the following in Texas, Clayburgh Islands. A hurricane warning remains in effect for the following locations in Texas, Ruffiero and Victoria. What? Flooding caused by excessive rainfall continues to be possible. Where? A portion of South Texas, including the following areas: Calhoun Islands, coastal Aransas, coastal Calhoun, coastal Ruffiero, Goliad, inland Calhoun, inland Ruffiero and Victoria. When? From late tonight through Monday evening. Impacts. Excessive runoff may result in flooding of rivers, creeks, streams, and other low-lying and flood-prone locations. Extensive street flooding and flooding of creeks and rivers are possible. Additional details: http://www.weather.gov/safety/. Flood. You should monitor later forecasts and be alert for possible flood warnings. Those living in areas prone to flooding should be prepared to take action should flooding develop. Outer bands from strengthening Beryl impacting the coastal bend situation overview. Beryl has continued to move to the northwest at around 10 miles per hour over the western Gulf waters this morning and will gradually turn more northward as it approaches the Texas coast tonight into Monday. Beryl has become better organized and is now strengthening. Beryl will continue to strengthen, with rapid intensification to Category 2 possible prior to landfall overnight tonight into early Monday morning. Guidance only shifted just a tad more east and Beryl is now most likely to make landfall over the mid to upper Texas coast, focusing around Matagorda Bay. Beryl is relatively compact in size with tropical storm force winds currently extending up to 115 miles northeast from its center. Outer rain bands associated with Beryl have extended along the middle Texas coast and coastal bend this morning. Locally, conditions will begin to deteriorate through the day today. Hurricane and storm surge warnings remain in effect along the islands and coastal portion of counties along the coastal bend from Baffin Bay to Sargent, TX, including Ruffiero and Victoria counties. Tropical storm warnings are also in effect for the coastal plains including inland Clayburgh, inland New Aces, inland San Patricio, B, and Goliad counties. There are also several additional hazardous impacts across the region. The threats include winds sustained winds 50-70 miles per hour with gusts around 90 miles per hour will be possible near the center of Beryl, mainly along the islands and coastal counties north of Port Aransas. Coastal flooding, significant storm surge with peak inundation up to 6 feet expected across Mesquite Bay northward and up to 5 feet along portions of the middle Texas coast from Baffin Bay to Mesquite Bay. Greatest threat for storm surge is from today through Monday. Flash flooding, moderate to high threat of flash flooding today through Monday over the Victoria Crossroads and northern coastal bend. Rainfall amounts of 4-8 inches with isolated higher amounts over the northern coastal bend and Victoria Crossroads, and 1-3 across the coastal plains with an elevated threat. Tornadoes, isolated tornadoes and waterspouts, mainly today into Monday, embedded within outer rain bands of Beryl. Greatest threat will be east of the center, mainly along the northern coastal bend and Victoria Crossroads. Hazardous seas, wave heights 15-25 feet tonight through Monday. The current time is 1:02 p.m. Central Daylight Time.